All right, welcome to the first weekly vlog for Find My NIL. Find My NIL helps college athletes get the best sponsorship deals possible by helping them through educating them in our community and content, helping them get assistance with building their personal brand if they need that help, and finally connecting them with local and national sponsors. So the point of the vlog is to document everything that I'm doing with the company, whether it's productive for it or not, and what I kind of like am doing throughout the week. So if that has to do if that's programming for 16 hours in a day, or going and like playing golf for my leisure time, then that's kind of what you're gonna get on the vlog. And you'll see because I really want people that are thinking about starting a company or are already starting one, where they can kind of like set an expectation or kind of think about not everything is 100% efficiency, because it's definitely not for me. I wish it was, but it's not. And then if it's something you've already started a startup, then it's something that you can relate to, that you can't. It's very hard to stay to that full efficiency. And there's a lot of other things that you do throughout your week that may not be necessarily geared toward the business, but it's still a part of the week and things that you're going through. And I want to create that relatable content, and also just kind of show exactly what happens for a company going from 0 users to X amount of users. In this vlog, I'm going to cover the backstory of why I started Find My NIL, the first week of Find My NIL, getting the first customer, the first athlete, and the first company that signed up, the kind of the iterations that I went through from the very first idea that I had for the website to the current form of Find My NIL. And then I will talk about the kind of the current status and where the current path of Find My NIL is, and what I plan on doing over the course of the next week or the following week. To catch you up to speed, over the past month, let's start the story of Find My NIL. So on July 1st, 2021, I received a text message from my friend. He plays tennis at Rhodes College, which is a D3 school, and he texted me in the morning. Let me see what he texted me. Yeah, need advice. He texted me this: need advice on how to start my entrepreneurial journey. And he had sent me a link from ESPN, which was the title was NCAA clears student athletes to make money. And he texted me that this is a Wednesday. He texted me that on June 30th, right, at 4:40, and I replied to him Thursday, July 1st, 12:13 a.m. I sent him opensponsorship.com, a link to that, and it's looks like they already started. Looks like they're ready to start helping student athletes out with sponsorships. So I was like, okay, there's already a website out here, just going here you go. And he's like, I'll look into that. And that was kind of he just said he's trying to make some easy money off his name. And I thought it was funny because he has no social media outlets, so it doesn't really. I was kind of confused, but either way, I went to sleep and then I woke up and then I saw a video posted by Dave Portnoy of Barstool about how they were starting Barstool Athlete, and the engagement was insane. And when I saw the engagement, that's when I realized that this was a lot bigger than I thought it was. And so I went back and looked at the websites and tried to see really what they were about. And I realized that one, all of them were built for pros originally to connect with sponsors. 2 had bad UI or was clunky, or 3, the sign up process was literally broken. 4, the home screen, just the landing pages looked really bad and didn't look to how I would have done it. And so I really, because of that, I saw this opportunity. And for the problem was that there was no specific marketplace for college athletes to connect with sponsors, and the opportunity, all the other ones, were kind of slacking in that department. Even though that they were adding that capability, they were slacking in it with the UI and the specific things solely for college athletes. And I just saw these gaps here, and all this opportunity with all these athletes and engaging and really wanting to make money off their name. And so I thought this might be something worth pursuing. And so I decided to challenge myself to build a website that connected college athletes with sponsors in one day. And it took me 3 days, but I was to make it look really good and to get it to create a marketplace app that looks good, has a lot of search functionality and filtering, has all the features are like it came with messaging, video calling, like one-click messaging, video calling, um, the really good search functions, and like some things like this that like doing all that in like 3 days is like very impressive. At least for me, I thought it was impressive. Um, and so over the next few days, I refined it, and so after the course of a week, it was like right where I wanted it to be. And then I was like, okay, time to start marketing the product. And I emailed this one website called businessofcollegesports.com. And the reason I found it, which was like on the fourth page of Google, so like the odds of me finding it were low. But there was an article that was like NIL website tracker, and she was the lady who started the website was tracking all the websites that had to do with this new NIL like market opportunity. And so I was like, oh, perfect. I'll message her and say that, because I was like, we're a part of that now. So I messaged her, and they put me on the website, and she only put like the subscription model, which was fine, but like, getting a link in there was really cool. And she's like, email me if you have any more like additions you ever make or changes you do. And like I did eventually. She never responded, but I just have to like re-engage, and hopefully she'll see it, because now apparently the traffic is too high that she can't respond like immediately. That's what the email response said to me, like the automated one. But anyway, I sent that out, and like within 2 days or 3 days, I had like the first athlete signed up, and at this point I had done no marketing. First athlete signed up. The next day, the first company signed up. The athlete was a D1 football player at Northern Arizona University. And the company was like Colonial Group, which is a student housing apartment like complexes. They were based in Denver, and they were like national. Like I'm based in Birmingham, Alabama. So like to get users from the West Coast without any marketing was pretty cool to see. At that point, like a few more users started coming in, and I started to do Facebook ads. And so I did it for about 4 days with a $50 budget per day, so like $200. And it like I was paying for Lumen 5, which is like an AI video maker, does like a good job of making ads and stuff. The conversion rate was not good, and the click-through rate specifically. And I was like, dude, I think I'm gonna like burn through all the money I possibly have if I keep going at this rate and like not getting any, real. It was targeted towards athletes, and like it was not going to make enough money, like return on investment. So I cut it off, and like remembered that I suck at Facebook ads, because I tried to do this back in July with a drop shipping website, and like that I realized like after 3 days of doing that, I could not do Facebook ads. I tried it again with this new approach. I couldn't do it again. So I kind of just decided to stop the Facebook ads, and realized that kind of like another strategy would be to, how could I, gain traffic to the website? And I thought SEO, because this seems like a relatively like new topic. Like all the NIL like stuff out there was just about the news of it, but not how it could benefit any college athletes and stuff like that. There was some, but not too much. And so I figured I could create content that ranked highly on the SEO, and that would drive traffic to the website. And so I decided to start a blog on medium.com. I considered like programming my own, but I just was like, that's going to take too much time. And so I decided to start it on Medium. And then I paid for this AI that helps do the copyright, so I could write it a lot faster. And it's actually really cool. It's called Jarvis.ai and Conversion.ai. It's the same website, just two different links. And so that was kind of like my start to like trying to do that. So eventually I ended up like a week or so later, I wrote 3 blog posts in a row. And but yeah, like I was like kind of like trying to do that. And I started getting like really into like the marketing, and like watching like Neil Patel and like SEO stuff on YouTube. And I didn't realize this, and I don't know why, but I understood that Google is just a search tool. It doesn't actually show you every single thing on the internet. So just because I made my website, findmynil.com, and just because I made the blog, doesn't mean that Google will actually find them. Even if I type word for word, like something that I wrote, it will not show up on Google, because Google needs like, there needs to be enough traffic already going to that site for Google's like crawlers to pick it up. And so I literally, if people typed in Find My NIL without the .com, people will not find the website. And the same with the blog post. People cannot find it unless I drive enough traffic to it somehow. So I was just like, thinking of, that was kind of like going through my head at the time and creating that's the stuff. And I was also like kind of going through my head is that the only thing I had on the website was connecting college athletes with sponsors, which was what everyone else was doing. And at this point, like in my first days of searching, I hadn't found any competitors that were, just doing college athletes with sponsors. But then about like July 10th or so, I found a couple websites that were doing that. One of them was like me; they programmed their thing in like 8 days, but it was like, in my opinion, not very high quality of a website. Like they literally are using Shopify to do it, and that kind of irked me inside. I just felt like that's ridiculous, and the UI was not good. It's not built for like what it should be. It's a good MVP, I guess, but quality wise, my site was a lot better. And that's just like, you can look at the websites and you can tell for yourself. And if you're going to make the decision that the other one looks better, then that's fine. But I thought mine looked better. And the other website, they've been around for about a year of doing research, and they were on the Paul Feinbaum show. And I don't know how I missed that, but eventually I found it. And so I realized that there were websites now that were doing college athletes with sponsors, and there were websites doing college athletes and pros with sponsors. And so I had to think of some ways to differentiate myself. And I had received an email, and the email was from Peerboard, which is a community platform and forum-esque software that you can embed on your website. And the reason I received the email from them was because in August of 2020, I started this website called Strategy Tennis, and I wanted to build this community of, tennis players. And so he had emailed me saying, "Hey, does Strategy Tennis still need this?" Like about a year later, right? And I was like, oh, and then I had like a genius moment, and I was like, no way, I could totally create a community, a place for like the college athletes to communicate with each other on, and have like a discourse about like all the, how their stories are, and like questions about communicating with sponsors. And I was like, oh, that's genius. So I figured, okay, I can use Peerboard for that. But then I started thinking, wait a minute, let me just double check and see some other softwares out there. And so I did a big search for all these community platform softwares. I thought about building my own. And I come to the conclusion again that it's like the blog. I thought that programming that was going to take, too much time away from what I was like the purpose of it, of the website. And so I decided to not program it and decided to like find one out there. And like after like a day or two of research trying to find the right one for me, like there were some that had really cool capabilities. Like you could sell courses on there along with being in the community. And I thought, ooh, like what if my athletes could make courses on there, and then people could come, that outsiders could come and like buy those courses or buy their products off there. And then eventually I was like, I don't really need that on there. Like I don't see the benefit of it. And so I eventually like boiled it down to like 2 different softwares, and I picked one. I was going to do a trial with both, but then I started a trial with one of them to see how it was going. And somehow I picked the right one, because everyone else out there, like I was like reading posts then and like watching the YouTubers and stuff that had like communities, and they chose the one that I had chosen. And I was like, no way, I chose like the best option possible by chance. So by chance, I did all the research, but still. And so I started like building the community, and eventually like in over like a day or two, I built used their entire API function to basically onboard athletes when they sign up on Find My NIL, that it signs them up to our community. It gives them all the tags that they need, and it does everything. And so that way they don't have to just make 2 signups. And it also came with a whole app, so they could now stay engaged with our community with notifications and stuff, instead of just like through the website. And so now I felt like I had something more differentiating, because I had a community where college athletes could get education from other athletes on how to get the best sponsorship deals, because they would learn from them through their stories. Like, oh, I did this with this athlete or with this company. Oh, I built a personal website, and I made a logo, and I did this. And like and that helped me get these deals, and that helped me increase the money that I got from this deal. So like they'd be able to learn from stories, and like people could give best tips. I apologize for the squeaky chair, by the way. I need to get a new one. So they would like learn from other athletes and have all that content in there. People could like do white papers and stuff, and whatever. So education and community was now taken care of. And again, I was like, okay, time to market it. And I wanted to make the community free because I totally believe that the community should be like free to all athletes. And like, because I feel like it's a big family, and that that could be, I didn't want there to be a border, like a boundary, or like something that causing resistance for them to sign up. So by removing a paywall, I figured that might help them to like make the decision. Oh, it's free, risk free, just sign up. Um, and it would also be a great way for me to like funnel people into the website and like use the software to search for companies, because I could obviously just like post content about the website and the updates we're making on the forum. And so then I built a community, and I'm like, okay, time to market it again. Now I got to go like meet college athletes in person. And I used to be a D1 tennis player at UAB. So I had like a dinner with my friends and like told them about it. They were on the tennis team, and I was, oh, pretty cool, pretty cool. Like they would like think about signing up and stuff. But then like I really haven't pushed myself to go out there and market it. And I've like realized I need like a co-founder for marketing. And so I kind of like started doing a search for that and like putting my information out there and like my I just graduated in entrepreneurship from UAB, and we have a Discord channel that my professor had made. And so I put my big post in there. He told me to do that, and no one responded. They did reactions, but no response to like the job post. And so kind of like was just like he tried to connect me with someone that was gonna, a co-founder opportunity, and he wanted to do like a marketplace thing, like you could invest in the athletes. But for me, it was like he knows programming, not marketing, and I need marketing, not programming. So it really wasn't like a fit for like Find My NIL. And then like one day, like randomly, I got a text. This is like maybe the third week of July. Yeah, third week of July. And I got a text from my friend. He's actually my little in the frat, and he in my fraternity. And he is a videographer for the UAB football team and basketball team, and he knows like he does video work for Bo Nix's dad. Bo Nix is the quarterback of Auburn football, and I think he knows Bo Nix and stuff too. So like he is like very interconnected in like the like most watched sports for college sports, and that was like really cool. And he messaged me saying, hey, I know you're an entrepreneurship major. Would you be interested in starting an NIL marketing service or like, business? And I was like, no way. Like, what are the odds that he texts me that out of like nowhere? And like, it just clicked that like, this is like the perfect opportunity. And I was like, I got on a call with him and talked with him for like 20, 30 minutes about it and like the website that I'd built. And, when he said service, I was like, I know him as a videographer, and like I thought maybe when he first said that, like creating a service to like, he was talking about on the phone, like, they need to make logos and they need to make all these things, if people are doing that and they need a service for that. And so that made me think, oh, wow, I'm missing something on the website. And that was a service provider, a creatives that could help the college athletes create the logo for them. And so we got off the phone call. I was like, okay, I'll program all that into the website. And he had to get in touch with the compliance team at UAB to see if he could do the website with me, because he was like, hey, I don't have anything lined up when I graduate in the fall. So let me, like, we could probably like do this. And so I was like, okay, like you get in touch with compliance, I'll start building the thing overnight. And so I took a day break, and then I programmed it. And so now the website had education through the community, and it had assistants, so we would add service providers or creatives that could sign up, and if they knew how to make a personal logo, how to make a website, how to do like social media consultation, they could actually just manage the person's YouTube page or something like that and make their content. They could find that on our website, and so if the athlete needed that assistance, they could hire those people out. And then the last part was the connection phase, which was with the sponsors, right? And so now we have 1, 2, and 3, the whole thing. Start, do it, like learn it, do it, and then implement it. Not, usually it's teach it, but now you're implementing it with the connections with the sponsor. And so, the other aspect that we had, I wanted to do to create more traffic to the website, was one, was the blog posts, right? And I wanted to also, like, I realized, well, there's a lot of other like social media outlets and mediums just to use to engage with people. And what other ways can I do to like give them information that will be really powerful for them to use to better their personal brands? So I decided that I would start a podcast that would have several experts in different fields come in and have the subject based around college athletes and how they can best take advantage of their NIL. So the topic could be about entrepreneurship or personal branding or social media, or and like how to create the best YouTube you can, and basically it's taking it, it's going to the experts. So we have the people that are creating organic content with their posts, their actual experience, like, oh, I did this, I created a personal logo, I did this, versus like, bringing on the social media experts saying, oh, well, 87% of blah, blah, blah. And like, they know, like all the stats in the industry about it, versus the, learning through a story of somebody else. So we have an expert talking about it, and we have someone giving practical on the podcast, and we have people giving the practical real life application of it through their stories on the community platform. So we have that education coming in both forms. The other part, then I realized another cool thing to do would be to create another podcast that was about the stories of the athletes on our platform. So we would have a different podcast episode each week or whenever, and we would talk about we'd have one athlete featured, and we'd go about their whole story from their time through sports, their past, their future, what their life has been like in college, their hardships and their trials that they've gone through, and all these sorts of things. And we want to show like all this hard work that they're doing is is like a real story that is like kind of like being ignored, and we want to like showcase that story. And so I figured that would be a great podcast to also do, just because there was no one doing that right now. Because all the podcasts about college athletes are like about college athletes, but don't have them in the podcast. So this is, this is like, that should be out there. Like if you're going to be talking about college athletes in podcasts, might as well have them on the podcast. So those kind of two podcasts that I wanted to create for content creation. So because of that, I started ordering all of the things that you could possibly order. I ordered this backdrop that it's really cool. It's like this fake grass wall. It's very, very cool. I had all these, like, they already had these two maps, these pushpin maps. So I hung them on the on the wall. I installed like sconce lights inside of these vanity lights that look very cool. As you can tell, it was very cool. I ordered these, like a nicer lens for my camera. I ordered these microphones for all the podcasts and the arms, the boom arms and stuff like that. I ordered a lot of things. So it definitely cost me like a few thousand, if not definitely more than a few $1,000s to get it all done. But I'm really proud of it. I think it looks really cool. And I think that it's hopefully, if I make all the content the way I had intended to do, and it, it does a good job and it portrays the information that we're trying to get across in a good way, and it like helps do that, then that's what's important. And to me, like, I enjoy this stuff anyway, so I figured, like, why not create like a really dope studio, and have like the cool equipment that I've been like thinking about getting for a couple years now, and just like it would also remove any excuse to not make that content, because I had this excuse of like, oh, I suck at marketing, so I should just get a co-founder. So then I could have made an excuse like, oh, I don't have a good mic, so I'm not going to make the podcast, or like I'm embarrassed to make the podcast. So I have all the equipment now, and it's just about getting it going. So now I'm at the stage where like a content creation, right? And I totally went down this rabbit hole of like, oh, now like I got like big into YouTube, about YouTube and creating a YouTube within YouTube, like that kind of hemisphere of YouTube. That's so many YouTubes in one sentence. So I like started understanding all these things, how to do all these like things with like thumbnails and captions and titles, and how to make the content, and doing all these things to portray really good, to make really good high quality content. And so that kind of has been taking up my time over the course of like the last 2 weeks as I've been waiting. I've just been like, you can tell like I've been doing all these things besides marketing the website at this point, which is like where I'm stuck. So I've just been like, I've been doing all these things in the meantime while I wait for my friend Brady to get back, hear back from compliance. So he said today is Today is Monday. Yeah, Monday. And he said he's hoping to get his meeting in with compliance by the end of the week. They just been like totally like pushing him off because they've been doing NIL stuff with all of the other athletes. Um, so it's just like you've been a waiting game for 2 weeks to get a meeting with them. But hopefully, when he gets that meeting, we start talking with all the athletes at UAB, using his connections to get them in the community. Um, but because of I've been waiting, I've been able to formulate a new like game plan for growing the website and the company. And so now I think we've narrowed it down that the idea of marketing it and bringing, like, if you have a million athletes on your platform and a million companies on your platform, infinity is nothingness at the same time, because you have, if you have so much, then you have like nothing that's of value. And there's not like, if you see all these companies on the website, like, you're gonna get in touch with all of them, but then you have to think like there's also now 1,000 or a million other athletes or 500,000 athletes that are getting in touch with all these companies too, and like they're going to be totally overwhelmed with the amount of like people that are coming for them, or not coming. That's a bad word, like phrase to use. Like, I guess messaging them, and so we had to figure out a way that's not infinite. You know, it shouldn't be. It should be exclusive, right? It should be purpose. It should have intent with it, and so it's like finding that balance is what I'm like doing now. So like my dad was like talking with me on the phone about it the other day, and so now I think we're gonna like when I get on the phone with Brady tomorrow, I'm gonna talk about these ideas to shift it. So the marketing strategy to where who's coming on the platform and how they're gonna come on, and so instead of trying to go to all the athletes at once, we're gonna have a few athletes and we're gonna, tell their story, right? And we're going to tell their story of like they wake up, they do this, they train, and they use these products to get better. So then they go back on the field and they're a better player. And then we go to the companies and we say, hey, these athletes are using the products in these videos and they're using your product to, perform better. We need to get you like sponsoring them, right? And so then they sponsor the athletes and bring them on the platform. And so we make it more exclusive to the companies, to almost at the point where like they are the ones like, oh, they want to get on our platform now, but it's exclusive to get on the platform because you have to have the best product. Like, oh, we think like if the athlete eats vegan burgers, right? We think you have the best vegan burgers, like we want you on our platform, something like that. And make it more exclusive and make it more purposely driven and like smaller, and start really small, start local, and instead of trying to do everything all the people at once. It's like too overwhelming. It doesn't make any sense to do. You need to start small. You need to start with like some focus, and then kind of just like grow from there and see how it grows, because I can't predict once the first one goes. If it's successful, it could grow in an infinitely different amount of ways, and if it's unsuccessful, then there's an infinitely different amount of ways that I could change the strategy. So I can't really say what would happen after the first time this happens, but it is worth a shot. My dad did make a good point. I realized the second day how that would be powerful, and so now I'm just here recording this vlog, gonna be starting the podcast soon. Gonna be starting the YouTube. Would be covering the stories of these athletes and documenting that and the products that they're using to like make them better athletes, and telling their story. So we're gonna be doing that over the next like week or 2 weeks. Kind of like the next week seems to be like getting in touch with Brady, waiting for compliance, getting that done, making more like YouTube content, hashing out a lot more like, I guess, like scripts and the podcast and all the guests I want to bring on, is kind of like setting up the background systems that I need to be like automate my workflow. And once I get all that kind of like automated, there's really no excuse to like not make content. And like I should be doing it regardless of that stuff anyway, but it kind of pushes me a little bit more. Like the fact that I'm recording this one right now it's taking me a minute to get here. Just push myself. But that's what it's about, is like just doing that, at least that one step, and then eventually one step leads to another step, and then I'm off to the races. And it's the same with the company. You take that first step, like we have a handful of athletes now in a couple companies, and like that's the first step. And the second step is getting in touch with local athletes and getting them on board and getting them in the community, getting them engaging, getting the first ones in there highly engaging, and the second step is then getting them to get in contact with next people and to grow even more, and like the next step, next step, next step. So it's like one step at a time. Just like getting the first step though is what's being important, and it's like we're in a waiting period right now, and so that's just where it's at. So that is the first weekly vlog. I just wanted to like cover the start of the company. It's been about a month and a week now, and I figured that would be like it's a good vlog to like kind of like recap what's happened so far, and then kind of give an idea of what's going to go on during the week, the next week. Just 'cause, like this past week, I haven't really done anything. I've just been like waiting. So the next week will be more of like what the standard of this will be, which is about what's happened over the past week and giving an update on that and kind of giving some B-roll here and there, just like spice up the video a little bit, and showing you exactly what's going on behind the scenes in the company, because from the start to the X amount of customers, because I think that is really important for future entrepreneurs to see and current entrepreneurs to relate with. So from the future episodes, that is kind of like what it will be like. This was just a summary. So if you enjoyed this overview, then consider subscribing if you want to keep going along with our journey, and apparently asking people for likes and comments actually makes people do it sometimes and actually engage. So if you enjoyed this and it helped you kind of like think of some things of how your journey has looked, or it gave you ideas of what it might look and how it incorporates with your lifestyle, then consider giving it a like. I'd really appreciate that. Kind of just like shows other people that, oh, it is good content. And yeah, I appreciate it, and I hope to see you in the next weekly vlog of Find My NIL. All right.